It's camping time.
All God's creators got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud the telephone wire, and some just clap their hands or paws or anything they got now.
Let's open up the mailbox and see what's inside today. Brilliant birds. Now campers, to make this topic come to life, I've got to use my camp medallion and make it connect with this card. Welcome campers, my name is Elijah and I'm the Family Camp at Yosemite ambassador. This is the Creative Campers Corner, and I hope you'll have a lot of fun. I always wear my camp medallion to remember camp. Can you tell where this is a picture of? Yep, that's right. It's Yosemite National Park, my favorite place in the world. I made one for you as well. Here you go. Hanging out with me here in the Creative Campers Corner are my two good pals. Can you guys introduce yourselves? I swear, those campers, they're friendly. They don't bite, right? Hi, my name is Ricky the Raccoon. And I'm Stan the Owl. Short for Stanislaus, of course. We're very excited to meet you, campers, and tell you all about our life here in the forest. We like to watch all the birds go by. Now, I'm a bird, but I think I'm a little bit smarter than the rest of those birds. They fly all over the place, and I just sit here and watch. Hey Elijah, why don't you tell us a little bit more about those birds? I really want to hear it. Come on, please, please. Oh sure, Ricky. Since you said please, I can read you a story. This is a magazine called Zoodles from Ranger Rick, and it's called Backyard Birds. A bird has wings to spread, water to drink, feathers to fluff, feet to splash, and a tail to wiggle in a bird bath. What's in your backyard? A Steller's jay is easy to spot in Seattle, Washington. People in Brownsville, Texas see roadrunners all the time. Birds live all over the world, so wherever your backyard might be, take a look out the window. You're likely to see a backyard bird or two. Loons can be found swimming on Lake Buffalo in Minnesota. In Algonquin, Maine, seagulls are common. You might find a mockingbird in your backyard if you live in Ocala, Florida. Where'd everybody go? Even if you're bird watching, you might not see birds right away. Remember, be patient. Birds are busy and might be off doing something else. And be quiet. Some birds blend in with their surroundings, so you might hear them before you see them. While you're waiting, keep your eyes open for other signs that birds are nearby. Look for feathers. You can tell what kind of bird has been around. Some birds might even leave cracked seeds and other leftovers behind. Different kinds of birds build different kinds of nests. What can you tell about these birds? Let's take a look at that nest up there. It's kind of at the top. Backyard birds lay all kinds of eggs. Their size, color, and number vary depending on what kind of baby birds are inside. Sometimes birds leave footprints. You can see where they went. Birds of a feather. Birds are famous for their feathers. People recognize birds by their feathers, and they probably how birds recognize one another too. Feathers are one of the things that make backyard birds so beautiful. So these are a picture of female birds on this side, of all different colors. But did you know that the male and female of some bird species have different body shapes and feather colors? See if you can match the male and female cardinal, oriole, and bluebird. So this is on the other side is the male birds. Let me put it here. Can you match the male and female birds? Take a second and try it out. Did you get it? On the next page here, what's for lunch? You can tell a lot about what a bird eats simply by looking at its beak and feet. A duck's webbed feet are for swimming, and its round bill scoops underwater plants. A heron's feet aren't webbed, so it can walk quietly in water, and its long beak lets it grab fish without dunking its eyes underwater. A woodpecker's special feet help it hop up and down the trunk of a tree. Its beak is strong enough to peck for insects. A hawk has strong feet for grabbing prey and a sharp beak for ripping it into bite-sized pieces. Bite-sized pieces? There's a little squirrel right there. He's a little bit scared right now. A hummingbird uses its long, thin beak to draw nectar from flowers. It hardly uses its feet because it doesn't land very often. It just keeps flying. A cardinal's short, sharp beak is perfect for cracking open seeds. Its feet are for perching on branches. Well, this guy's still not happy. That was a lot of science, but...
Yeah, I want to hear a story. Can you tell me a story? Can you tell me a story? A really, really good story. Please, please, please.
This next page is a fiction story, so that means it's not scientific fact. This is a story that someone wrote and made up. Chick-a-dee-dee-dee by Charnin Simon. Chick-a-dee-dee-dee, Pip, the little black-capped chickadee, hopped busily under the private hedge. Pip scratched in the frozen dirt, looking for insects. It was hard finding food in winter. Pip flitted over the snow to a nearby holly bush. He settled in to make a breakfast out of the bright red berries. But still, Pip was waiting. Ank, ank, ank! Jocko, the white-breasted nuthatch, swooped past Pip. Jocko flew to the top of the old maple tree. He began climbing his way headfirst down and around the trunk of the leafless tree. Jocko looked at the world upside down. He found insects in the wood that other birds missed. Today, he also found an acorn he had stored last week, wedged under a loose slab of bark. Jocko used his sharp beak to hack that acorn to pieces, but still, Jocko was waiting. Flash! Mr. Cardinal flitted to a high branch of the tall white pine. Nobody could miss his bright red feathers. Mrs. Cardinal was more private. She preferred to look for breakfast under the thick tangle of barberry bushes. Mr. and Mrs. Cardinal had nested in this yard for years. There were brush piles to hide in and good things to eat. Sunflowers and coneflowers, crabapples, juneberries, and tall wild grasses. But food was scarce in winter, and on this bright cold morning, Mr. and Mrs. Cardinal were waiting. And here it came. The back door of the house opened, and the people came out. They scooped sunflower seeds into the bird feeder. They put suet into the suet basket. They poured fresh water into the wide, shallow bird bath. Friendly little Pip flew right over. "Thank you," he seemed to say as he began his good breakfast. Chick-a-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. The end. All right, campers, I hope you enjoyed those stories. Let's see what's next.
Hi campers, this is Elijah again. It's time to go outside and see what we can find. Let's go!
Can you hear those backyard birds? They're flying away. What kind of birds might they be? Can you see them anymore? I can hear them. I can't see them, but I can hear them. I see some large birds flying through the air. They're kind of black in color. Who knows what kind of birds those are?
When we're at family camp, we can find some birds there as well. We have to be really quiet and we have to open up our ears, and then we'll be able to see and hear where the birds are. What kind of birds have you found at family camp? Can you tell me?
Hey, my forest friends. How's about a meal of delicious dirt and wriggling rainbow worms?
Yes, I could eat. Is it something that I can find inside a canvas tent? If it is, I'm very hungry.
Now I'm going to show you how to plan a delightful dinner party that's for the birds, should we say. Okay, first we're going to need some milk. And our other ingredients are gummy worms and chocolate pudding mix. To top it all off, we'll need some sort of cookie. So this can be Oreo cookies, it can be mint fudge like I have. You just need to be able to crumble up the cookies and put them on top. Now you're going to want to look at the directions on your pudding mix. Mine says I need 2 cups of milk and I need to whisk it all together. Now you've got to use all your arm strength when you whisk it, as much strength as if you were wrestling a raccoon.
Hey!
Whisk it really well for a few minutes. Next, we'll ladle our pudding mix into 4 different glasses. This will be our mud, because when worms crawl around, they need to crawl around on mud and dirt. Next, we'll take a few of the cookies and put them into a plastic bag with a zipper. We're going to crumble these cookies up. Close it real tight. You'll use your hands or a rolling pin to break up the cookies. We want to crumble these up nice and fine because they're going to be our dirt for our worms in dirt cup. We'll open up our bag and sprinkle our dirt topping all over the pudding cups. We're going to cover those with a lot of dirt for the worms to crawl around. The final layer of our worms in dirt pudding cup is going to be our gummy worms. I use neon sour worms, but you could use any different type of gummy worm. This is what the birds eat. So we're going to make sure we have, I'm going to do about 4 gummy worms in each cup. We don't want too much sugar overload. Your parents will not be happy if you have too much sugar. All right. Look at that. That is our delicious worms in dirt pudding cup. Yum. That looks good enough to eat.
This is delectable. I'm gonna be one chunky monkey, owl, after this meal.
Every winter, hungry birds dine at backyard feeders, and every winter, thousands of people, including kids, help scientists count the birds that visit those feeders. David Bonter at Project Feeder Watch collects the bird counts people send. Then he and other scientists use that information to figure out how many birds there are altogether in a given area, which types of birds are doing well, and which might need some help. Scientists could never count birds all over the country every winter on their own, says Bonter. We rely on volunteers to be our eyes and ears in woods and backyards. You can be a scientist too. Would you and your family like to help scientists count birds? First, you'll need a feeder. David Bonter says the best place to hang a feeder is near trees, so birds will be hidden from predators, but not too close, or squirrels might jump from branches to help themselves to the birdseed. Fill the feeder with sunflower seeds, a food that many birds like. then watch from a window and wait for the birds to arrive. That sounds like a fun project to try out in your backyard.
I've discovered today that birds are mighty brilliant.